Hello, everybody. Travis here. Forgive if my voice sounds a little froggy. I'm not going to play another frog deck. We've already played a couple of those recently. No, we've had a bunch of pollen in the air the last 3 days. Wind's been blowing, so I am all congested. But this is part of the Kaizen Evil series, and we're not going to stop. We're not going to stop with making evil decks. So we've been doing stuff like land destruction. Let's make them discard one of their own choices first. We did poison. Doing things like poison and land destruction decks, was there ever any doubt that discard would be far behind? Or that wouldn't be far... Oh, and we're done. That's how evil discard is. People don't even want to play against it. Okay. Well, normally the first initial match lasts longer, but let's go ahead. We'll go ahead and go into the deck first. I looked in my video archives. It has been 8 months since I did a discard deck before, so I hope you appreciate my restraint, because discard's a big part of this game. And a big part of my history with this game, too, as I'll tell you as we go along. But this one's called Talented Discard, because I have 4 copies of Bandit's Talent, which I haven't done with a discard deck before, but... When the class enters, each opponent discards 2 cards unless they discard a non-land card. Then for only 1 mana, you pump it up to level 2 at the beginning of their upkeep. If they only have 1 or fewer cards in hand, they lose 2 life. You need 4 mana to bring it up to level 3. At the beginning of your draw step, you draw an additional card for each opponent who has 1 or fewer cards in hand. And so this is designed for you to build around this card as a discard deck. And that's the stuff we got. We got 4 copies of Hopeless Nightmare, which many people are calling on to be banned because they think it's overpowered. And I kind of agree with them, because there's so much for only 1 black mana. So many things happen. They discard a card and they lose 2 life. And then when it's put into the graveyard, you get to scry 2, and you get to control when you sacrifice it. So they almost never want to destroy it themselves, so it's all your choice on when you want to scry. Next, Ruthless Negotiation. This is just 1 copy of this. Target exiles a card from their hand. If the spell was cast from a graveyard, draw a card. So it costs 5 more for the flashback, but you can pay the 5, make them exile another card, and that's when you get to draw your card. 1 copy Binding Negotiation from Outlaws of Thunder Junction. We choose a non-land card, and they discard it. Otherwise, you can put a face-up exile card they want into the graveyard. We don't usually have to worry about that. A little bit of removal in here, not a lot. 1 fell to destroy target creature. We've got Osseous Stick Twister, 2/2 Scarecrow from Duskmourn. It's got lifelink. And Delirium. At the beginning of your end step, if there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, each opponent may sacrifice a non-land permanent of their choice or discard a card. So that's where the discard comes in. Then this creature deals damage equal to its power to each opponent who didn't sacrifice a permanent or discard in this way. So if they don't get rid of anything, they don't get rid of say a creature, or they don't discard a card, you're going to do at least 2 damage to them and gain 2 life via this little tactic. Let's see, Pilfer, of course, they reveal their hand, you choose non-land card. We've got 4 copies of Tiny Bones Bauble Burglar, a legendary skeleton rogue, 1/3. Whenever an opponent discards a card, you exile it from the graveyard with a stash counter on it. During your turn, you can play cards you don't own with stash counters on them from exile, and we don't need to worry about the color. And it's self-fulfilling, right? We can spend 4 and tap it, make each opponent discard a card, and that gives us the card that we can then cast from exile. Collector's Vault, to dig through our own hand to draw a card and discard a card, create a treasure token. If we get starved for land, then we can dig for our land. In the meantime, get rid of something we can't use, especially if their hand is empty and we're getting rid of discard cards. And then we get treasure to power up the next thing. Cerebral Confiscation, make them discard 2, or if we want to be more selective, we get to look at their hand and choose a non-land card from it. 2 Lilianas of the Veil. This is all I've got. I haven't burned any Mythic Wildcards to get more Lilianas, which I could if I wanted to be really evil and make an even more effective discard deck, right? But, you know, what more can be said about Liliana? I'm being relatively nice by keeping only 2 in there. 2 copies of Rush of Dread. This is the Spree card from Outlaws of Thunder Junction. Pay 3 just for the base cost. If you want anything to happen, you got to pay more. We're looking at the middle one there. We'd pay 5 total. Target opponent discards half the cards in their hand, rounded up. We can also do other stuff. We can make them sacrifice half the creatures they control rounded up, or make them lose half their life. So if we wanted to cast everything, we would need 8 mana. We've got one copy of Mazatlanti, the Great Door. For 3, you bring it down. Another way to draw through our deck, draw a card, discard a card. For 4, we can transform it into the legendary land you see to the right. But we need 4 permanent types in our graveyard. So here, unlike us, you Stick Twister, they actually list them all out. So battle's included in here, and I do have a battle in my deck, so maybe it'll come into play. But once it's a land, it's called the Core, and it has this Fathomless Descent ability where you tap it, you add X mana of any one color, where X is the number of permanent cards in your graveyard. Since we can only turn it into a legendary land if we have 4 types in the graveyard, the least this is ever going to give you is 4 when you tap it. Realm Breaker mills their cards, you get land from their graveyard. 2 copies of the Battle Invasion of Eldraine. When this siege enters, target opponent discards 2 cards. If we convert this, we can get the Prickle Fairies back, 2/2 flyers at the beginning of each opponent's upkeep. If they have 2 or fewer cards in hand, this creature deals 2 damage to them. Let's play a game. Duskmourn card. 4 mana to do it. You need Delirium, right? If there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, you get to choose 1 or more. If you don't meet that qualification, you get to choose 1 of these 3. Creatures your opponents control get -1/-1 till end of turn. Each opponent discards 2 cards, or each opponent loses 3 life and you gain 3 life. Another little choice card. Each player discards 2 cards, loses 4 life, or sacrifices 2 creatures of their choice. That kind of works for creature removal for me as well, quite a bit. Aclazot's Deepest Betrayal. Only 1 copy. That's all I have, I think, of this. Legendary Bat 4/4 with flying and lifelink. Whenever it attacks, each opponent discards a card. If they can't, you get to draw a card. Whenever an opponent discards a land card, you get a 1/1 bat creature token with flying. And when it dies, it just comes back to you as a land. It's tapped to start with, but if you or them has 1 or fewer cards in hand, you can pay 3 as a sorcery and transform it back into Aclazotz. So something that just keeps coming back. 2 big board wipes with Deadly Cover-Up, and we can collect evidence 6 and go get something, one of their cards, erase it from their entire deck, graveyard, hand, library, whatever. Shieldred, when it enters, each opponent sacrifices a non-token creature or planeswalker of their choice. If we have 8 or more cards, or actually if the opponent has 8 or more cards in their graveyard, we can turn this into the True Scriptures and Enchantment Saga, and you see there for the 2nd chapter, each opponent discards 3 cards, which fits in with our discard theme quite well. And then we get all the creature cards from all graveyards back onto the battlefield under our control, so very much a win card. Hollow Marauder costs 7, costs 1 less for each creature card in your graveyard. It's 4/2 flyer. When it does enter the battlefield, any number of target opponents each discard a card, so this is built for Commander, but if your opponent didn't discard a card with mana value 4 or greater, you get to draw a card yourself. What else do we have? We've got 1 Hidden Necropolis to discover 4. We've got 1 Dross Pits for card draw. 1 Demolition Land to take care of anything they've got. And 1 Fountain Port so we can create fishies if we want. We can sacrifice those fishies, draw a card, maybe create a treasure token. And we do have some Graveyard Hate with Pit of Offerings as well. And I've got 1 Plaza of Heroes if I want to save a legendary spell. It's got to be a creature, so I can't save Liliana, but Shieldred's legendary, Aclazotz is legendary. Maybe if they're going to exile him, I could save him with this, make it hexproof and indestructible. But I need this free, and I need 3 other mana able to tap. And Decay's Dig Site for 3 I can surveil as well. That's the deck. You'll notice I have a couple of things in there that allow me to draw and discard, so you need a balance. If you end up with too many discard spells in your hand, there's not much you can do against your opponent, so I need a way to throw those away when their use is done and go dig for something more useful. You go first. And we're up against Prosthetic Mind. The mighty Prosthetic Mind. I tend not to discard right away. I want to see what they're going to do. I want to get an idea of what's in their deck. I want to give them a chance to do something. What is this? This is Aetherspark. Does anybody care about Aetherspark? Here, get rid of a card. They could hold up priority while they read the card with this, because they can sacrifice this creature anytime they want, so... They get rid of an Alacrian Jaguar. That's an expensive card. That's not enough. What else you got? Come on, let me see your hand. We're going to have to wait for them to pass priority each time. Let's see. 3 damage attacking or blocking. Glory links. Label enhancements. I think we just get rid of another creature. Tiny bones, that's what we want. Oh, that's good. Get rid of the big creature. And get rid of 2 more, please. They keep the wrong one. Snakeskin Veil is not going to help them. But I got some stuff now. Yes. When they saddle, they get a counter. Give the counter to the other thing. And now they are full speed ahead. Let's see. How do we want to do this? I have 5. I feel like this is good. I don't think I have a mount or vehicle card. Nope. But we can pump this up. No attacks needed here. They are going to lose 2 life. They are not going to be able to attack. If they do, they will regret it. Okay, we know they have Snakeskin Veil, so we have to double block. They can choose who they're going to get rid of, but they can't get rid of both of them. Come along, come along. There we go. They choose to get rid of the discarder rather than the one with all the power. Interesting choices here. Yeah. Yeah, we're evil. I didn't have a choice. Okay, this is Magic the Gathering. Discard has been part of the game since day one, and it imprinted on me like an ostrich. When I was playing 3rd edition, I got a starter deck, It had Mind Twist in it, which is X and a black. So for X mana, your opponent has to discard X cards. So you're always hoping to get like 6 lands and make them discard 5 of their cards. And it never worked quite the way you wanted it to, because if the game lasted that long, they'd probably emptied their hand. So if you're lucky, they were only holding 1 or 2 cards by the time you had enough mana to make any difference. If you needed to use it earlier, you would probably still only be able to get rid of 1 or 2 cards in their hand, because you only had like 3 mana in the early stages. So a lot of times it didn't work out. But shortly thereafter, Fallen Empire's expansion came out. You had Hymn to Turok, which was discard 2 cards for only 2 black mana. Very efficient. So Mind Twist by that time was on the restricted list, so you could only have 1 copy of it in your deck. But that combined with the 4 Hymn to Turoks, you just felt good about everything. If you hear random noises, that's me blowing my nose from being all congested. Bear with me. So yeah, 8 months since I last published a video about discard. But once we got to the Kaizen Evil series, oh, we had to do one. Look at how big creatures they have out already. It's only turn 3. They got to go first and everything. This is just gross. I think we have to kill something. And so we shall. Opponent does not miss a land drop. We put out just yet another massive creature. Let's just get rid of their resources. Look at that, it has flashback. This is good. If they had a land, it wasn't going to work for them because it belongs to us now. I guess we block, because we're dead if we don't get an untapped land. Oh, wow. So close. Arena likes me right now. And this is kind of why I don't have as many tapped lands as I usually do. I only have like 2 or 3 tapped lands in the entire deck list. And now we're going to do stuff like this. Even the land, you're going to lose the land. Can we put this out down? No, we can't. So we just put out Collector's Vault. They're not even keeping stuff anymore. I guess they suspect that I have things. Ooh, I do have this stuff now. It's their stuff, but let's take it. This is the part where I start playing with my food. They're not keeping a single thing. I'm not playing too much. I'm using the cards. I'm not dawdling. They get to actually keep and use the flashback portion of this, though, now, right? Like it's available to them. They could burn it now if they were afraid I'd get it back. I don't think I get it back. I hope they don't use it right now. It'd be nice to confirm real quick, but... That is awesome. I guess I could attack the battle and convert the battle, but... I should have played the Hopeless Nightmare. No life gain though, so. Alright, we held this in case they were holding one of their lands the entire time. Oh, I think the holdup is my son just activated a Steam game, and his account is tied to mine, so the computer has to sort all that out for a second. There we go. Yeah, discard is considered so evil. Some people, you play a single discard spell and they are quitting. And that can even happen sometimes in ranked, and I don't play a lot of ranked. But I've had people quit in ranked just from me playing discard spells. And sometimes there are people that they don't mind facing. If they've already faced 2 or 3 discard decks in a session, and then I come along and I'm playing a discard deck, they might be fed up by that time of day. So even if they don't think discard is evil, even if they understand it's part of the game, there are some people that, like, at a certain point in time, they want to play their cards in their hand. And they're not in the mood for discard anymore. They're just not. So it can be kind of, not just that you'll never play against discard. There are personalities that's like, I will play against discard, but, you know, if I've put together a particular deck and I'm trying to get this combo going, I don't want to play against discard. So I can feel like that sometimes, so I understand. Put out Realm Breaker now. Let's get some lands so we can get Rush of Dread powered up. Maybe get Acklazotz out pretty fast. What's an enchantment? Do we have enough time to survive and get rid of all their stuff? They can sacrifice this any time they want. They only do 2 damage, so they need to pump it up a little bit. Enters tap no matter what. And let's start the discard. They already lost Emberstorm Predator, which is good. If they have a Zombify, they could bring it back, though. That could be problematic. Okay, did we... Actually, I think my son keeps getting invited by his friends to play games. Oh, that's good. We can only play it on our turn, though. We'll go ahead and attack. Just invite the Immolator in. They've got so many ways to pump this up as part of the deck with prowess that it doesn't make sense to keep Tiny Bones as a blocker anyway. It's just begging for trouble. Creatures, creatures, creatures. Undying Malice would be good on my turn instead of, or on their turn instead of my turn, but it's not the way Bauble Burglar works. The nice thing is, we have lifelink. Drop another card, please. That's a lovely card. What else we got? I'll take a tap land. Is it time to bring this down? I think so. Let's get rid of Immersturm and 2 of the Strongbox Raiders. Just so those don't give us problems. And now we're ready to do everything with Rush of Dread. Ouch! Okay, they lose a card, they get rid of 2 creatures, and they lose half their life. They kept Garda. Deal the damage to me. We get a chub blocker. And we just needed not to be another creature right now. Very good timing for them to get their little mythic rare when they have 6 lands. And I'm surprised they put that out first, as opposed to later. Our problem is this comes back tapped, doesn't it? Yes, it does. Let's see. Yes, discard that, please. And then I get it. And we have a blocker. We did need that. I think we die anyway, right? Or we just do the 1 damage? Oh, it's another creature. Okay, so they took the damage that time. Whew! Alright, let's go ahead and just attack. And let's go ahead and scry. What kind of stuff can we get? We don't need that. That's a good card. We're counting on the fact they can't do an additional 4 points with 1 card. That worked out. But we're flying over their head. That was a very close game. We could have played with our food. We could have done a deadly cover-up and destroyed everything, and then just paid the mana and brought back our creature. What do we get? A terrible thing to waste. We did an achievement with the discard deck. Let's go check it out. Color Masteries. Black. A terrible thing to waste. Have opponent discard 120 cards over any number of games. Ta-da! And that's actually from the Strixhaven card. If you're wondering where the art is on that. I should have expected that. That will go on the list. At some point I will put out a video that has a comprehensive list of all of my decks and which achievements that I gain with them, so that if you want to hunt down some of those achievements, get some more titles, I'll show you which decks of mine that I've played will help you out. I only have a couple of decks I've made that you haven't seen yet. Almost everything that I've made, I show. Mrs. Mac. Hello, Mrs. Mac. So nice. I usually don't say hi myself, because usually that means I'm going to lose. What kind of stuff do we got? Let's get rid of Midnight Reaper. Prevent them from putting out the first creature, while we do get out our Realm Breaker. They do not miss a land drop, so they get their first creature. They choose it to be the Cackling Prowler. Makes sense. That has Ward 2. We could stall this a little bit more if we want. Yeah, that Swarm Weaver is disgusting. Let's go ahead and do this now. We'll pay the ward cost. They get counters if things die. Okay. Shoot. I don't want to do this. We'll take that tap land. And then we'll make them discard one more card. We may have to play 2 Rankless Preg... Oh, never mind. Did not want to do it. Even though they got a creature on the ground and they're going to start doing 4 points of damage. And you can see, if you're ever in a rush, you need to get to your 15 wins at the end of the night before reset. A discard deck, quite frankly, is a good way to go about it. People are... You know, you're inevitably going to come across a couple of people who, if they don't scoop, they have a limited appetite for it. And like here we've got 3 already. Although we hardly ever get to play Hollow Marauder. It doesn't show up that often. Okay, these guys have lots of little critters, so we might as well just start. They've probably got so much stuff they feel they can, you know, see, look, Roaming Throne. They probably already have another one in their hand. Heir Apparent. Great. Well, that's what our big board wipe is for. Let's do Pilfer. What did I say? Already had another Roaming Throne in their hand. And 3/3 City. Alright. Ban its talent. And we'll just do this so they lose 2 life. They play the land. They play the land. They lose their next card. It was another Tree City. Okay. Let's see what else we got coming up our way. We're kind of flooding out. Ooh, those are good. We're taking those. Yeah, what do we have? Like 5 spells and 6 lands? They finally get the Roaming Throne. And that big old thing is a rabbit. We don't have 4 types in our deck, or in our graveyard. That was not the best. Alright, we'll just bring this down. Target any number of opponents. They draw a land. That's kind of what we needed. Yeah, I think we chump block. Get rid of everything. Do we get rid of Roaming Throne? No, we get rid of Heir Apparent. 2 lands in their hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16 creatures we are gonna get rid of. Which would have left him with 30 cards left. I love it when I beat the Heir Apparent decks with cards like that. Oh, that's lovely. Okay, we could do this all night. I probably will. I might just... It's been so long since I played a discard deck. I may just go to my 15 wins for the night with this deck. But, you know, there's evil and then there's evil. I don't think I should keep you around for all of it. We're going to end the video here. Again, apologies for the congestion. Remember, the Kaizen Evil series is based on the Japanese concept of Kaizen. We are showing up to work. We're dedicated to getting 1% better every single day. So this is less evil than poison. It's less evil than land destruction. But we're starting near the bottom of the rung, so we're still pretty evil. And a lot of people feel the same way, and that's why they scoop so often when they're faced against discard. It's why they go for early scoops. Sometimes on the first turn, sometimes on the second discard spell on the same turn. Sometimes, like you just saw, you know, they were going to lose 16 creatures, and that was too much for them. And that wasn't quite from the discard, but it's close. It's like a kissing cousin to discard in the way that I built this deck. So go ahead and leave a comment. How do you think I'm doing on my rung? Am I doing a little bit better? We've still got a quiz up on the post page for, you go to the YouTube, you go to the post that I made, there's a quiz there, an opinion poll on what is less evil. So you can always go there and vote on the next deck you want to see in this series that you think is maybe less evil than discard, but you still think it's really, really evil, it's really down in the sewers, and you want to see me play that next. So I will take those suggestions. And with that, this is Travis from Tpull's Corner saying thanks, everybody. Have a good one.